the simplicity of using just those two notes has made Beethoven's Für Elise the most known classical piano piece in the world. Like Chopin's Fantasy Impromptu, it wasn't published during Beethoven's lifetime. They found a sketch in a drawer and published it in 1867, some 40 years after Beethoven's death. And who is this Elise? Well, there are a few hypotheses, but none of them are confirmed, so it remains a mystery. The formal heading would be a Bagatelle, a shorter piece which Beethoven wrote when he wasn't writing his bigger sonatas. And it's in rondo form, so we have the famous theme returning with 2 episodes in between. The first episode is very light and nice, and the second episode is darker with some typical Beethoven drama in there. So overall, it's a very well balanced piece, a real musical gem. And in Swedish, we actually call those kind of pieces earrings. Poco moto is kind of a weird marking. It means a little moving, so it's quite open for interpretation. And I feel it more to the moto side and less to the Poco side. This whole phrase, the first part of 8 bars, is like a breathing phrase. And I think it should be played with a little bit of rubato, so going forward and back in time, not sticking straight to the tempo. So... Now, there is an issue with the time signature in the beginning, because the way it's notated, it's in 3/8, and it's supposed to be an upbeat of 1 beat and then a bar of 3 beats. So if we feel it in 3, I'll snap the fingers. That's like not the way we hear it normally. I can force myself to feel it that way when I'm playing, but when I'm listening to it, it's impossible to feel it that way, because the upbeat and the bar that comes, it's no change between them. It's just these 2 notes. So it's impossible to hear the beat on the second pair. So what happens is we feel it as 1 bar in 4. And then it turns to 3 because we have the bass in clear bars in 3. And then again we have just 2 beats and then a bar of 4. I think this is the only way to go about it, and not force yourself to feel it in 3 all the way, because the listening experience has to be more important than what I'm feeling as a performer. Anyway, then we start the second part of the theme, and it's like we're going out a little bit harmonically to a major chord. But going back. We get stuck on this E and we get these flashing octaves. And the return of the 2 notes. And here it's the same with the time signature. In a way it's more free, it doesn't matter so much where the beats are, but if you feel the beats, you probably feel them as 3 bars in 4 instead of what's notated as 4 bars in 3. So and then the way it's notated here, it doesn't really matter for the sound, but it's a nice effect that the left hand gets to help out with the theme, so both hands are involved in making the theme with these 2 notes. It's a really nice visual effect. And if we went out a little bit, now we're coming home where the first part of the theme returns in the nice soothing A minor. So that's the whole theme, very short. There is a controversy here with 1 note in the end. Should it be an E or a D? Or so, or that, because both of these notes make sense musically, and it's not clear from the sources, because in that sketch that was used first, it's E in the first time and then D in all the other times when the theme returns. And there's different in the printed versions out there now. I kind of like the E more because it's more smooth. The D is slightly more spicier. And I do as some versions do. I do the D in the very end, and then you end with... You add a C for a chord at the very end of the piece. The last time makes a more fuller closure of it. But I do the E all the other times. Anyway, now we get to the first episode, and it's this very light thing in F major. More legato melody, and we get to move the fingers a bit after this also. But we inevitably end up on the E and the D sharp motif again. And it evolves straight into the return of the theme for the second time. Breathing. And then now, for the second episode, something is starting to stir here. The left hand has something to say with this insisting ostinato repeated note on the here. Then we get this diminished chord in the right hand. And minor. And then again, try again. And it's modulating here. The left hand, the bass rises from A to B flat, from minor to major. So this is a mediant from D minor to B flat major and E flat major, and uncertain again, going back to minor. And then we get like a cadenza run for the final part of the second episode. In A minor, we get to show off a little bit of virtuosity here. But it goes seamlessly into the return of the theme with this chromatic descent. And we get the theme for the final time of the piece. Now, there is actually another version of the Für Elise. The Beethoven scholar Barry Cooper has constructed it from another sketch that might have been a more revised version by Beethoven. And there are some differences, and one of them is that the accompaniment in the left hand comes off beat, so it's like this. And it's a really nice feeling, more like waves going on, more romantic in a way. And when you get to the E octaves, in a way it makes slightly more sense to not have a repeated E, so you get instead of so. However, the piece has found its shape as it's known all over the world. So that's the real Für Elise, the version we have, regardless of any history with the sketches. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. And a special thank you and shout out to my Patreon sponsors F, G and G Nyberg.